Today we have the Alfa Romeo Stelvio Veloce, and it has been one of the most controversial cars I've driven. The controversy has been all about this paint. What do you think? But the thing that's not controversial about the Stelvio is that it is absolutely a blast to drive and super fun. Even though it's not the top-end performance quadrifoglio, this Stelvio is still super fun. Today we're going to take a full detailed look at the exterior, the interior, and get it out on the road for a test drive. Let's get started. All right, y'all, let's take a look at the exterior details of this Stelvio Veloce. So this one looks like it is so fun to drive. The Stelvio is just styled as such that it's so distinctive, and you've got the Alfa Romeo distinct grille right here, that upside down triangle right there. Then you've got an LED turn signal, LED daytime running light, a nice splitter down there. But these are actually bi-xenon headlights, and they're adaptive as well, so at night they're going to move side to side. I have a night video showing off the TI Sport Stelvio, so be sure to check that out. This paint color, Orca GT Tri-Coat, is the most controversial color that I have ever had on the channel. So many people absolutely hate it, some people absolutely love it. It's just crazy. I would love to know your thoughts down below. I think it's kind of a nice mixture of this dark accents with this Orca goldish looking color. Plus we have red brake calipers, the white Alfa Romeo lighting, and these 21-inch black wheels. Alfa Romeo adds some luxury with turn signals in here, automatic dimming, and power folding mirrors. This is only 185 inches long, so it's not as big as some, other 2-row or 3-row SUVs, but it's bigger than some of the compact ones. And on the back, we've got LED taillights back here, the same kind of distinct shaping and design that you'll see with the other ones. The badging, plus you've got a dual exhaust outlet back here, and Alfa Romeo has their own patented rear suspension for optimal handling, and we'll talk about that in the test drive. Now, cargo space is not a priority, but Alfa Romeo still gives us a hands-free liftgate, so you can just swipe your foot right under the bumper, and you get this hands-free option standard on this Veloce model. And we've got a little cargo cover to cover up that window right there. And space back here is not as good as you're going to find in mainstream brands, mainly because it's really tight in terms of its width, and the exterior styling, that steep rear end, limits the stackability back here. But you have good depth, in my opinion. That's a pretty standard size backpack, a little bit bigger than some more carry-on suitcase size. You could stack a couple of things up. You also get this cargo cover, which is nice. Over here you have a hook, you have a light. On the other side you have a hook, a light, and a 12-volt power outlet, and we have levers to fold the seats down. You also have these metal fixed tie downs. There's 4 of them back here. Over on this side you've got a little tiny storage area and a 115-volt 3-prong outlet. Underneath of here we just get a tire inflator kit, but there is room for extra storage, and a spare tire is optional. The other nice thing is that we've got a center pass-through right here, so you can put skis or long items back here. Otherwise, pull the handle, release those, and they didn't pop forward. If you give them a good push, you can get them to go down. This is a pretty flat load floor right here, so I mean, if you don't need the second row, you've got a good space with this. Still not as much as you'll find in other crossovers, but that's not the priority in this sporty Stelvio. Now just look at that color. I want to know what you think, but for entry, here's our key fob. You will get remote start. You can open up your lift back. It's a pretty big, bulky key fob, but it looks nice and it feels pretty durable as well. We have the smart key system right here. You've got sensors in the back, and then you push that button to lock it, and you've got power folding mirrors. But like I said, sensors in the back. Hop inside. So first of all, you're going to get sport leather seats in this particular model. This looks like a nice rich leather as well. These seats are actually pretty darn bulky too. Take a look at the bolsters on the side of this thing. It's insane. So you've got quite a bit of power adjustments, but we also have a manual thigh extension adjustment here as well. And this leather actually feels pretty nice. So when we get down to our adjustments, we have bolster adjustment. So those 2 buttons can actually make the bolster squeeze or spread out. You've got 4-way lumbar support, and then your other height and tilt adjustments right there. Steering wheel is leather wrapped, and it is also heated. These seats are also heated, but they are not ventilated on this model. And on the driver's side, you got a nice little soft storage area right there too. And I've been pretty comfortable in here. This is my second round driving the Stelvio for about a week. The headrest could be a little bit more adjustable forward and backwards, but overall these seats are nice and comfortable, and they grip you so well that these bolsters are just huge. You can really slide around in this, or take some corners in here without sliding around. Plus, one more nice feature is we have memory settings on here, which gives you an entry-exit system to automatically move when you get in or out. Now the back seat's probably the least important thing here for Alfa Romeo, and that shows. I mean, you still get leather seats right here, you've got a center armrest, and you get air conditioning vents, but it is on the small side. So at least Alfa Romeo actually gave you nice soft materials up here, like a luxury brand should. But even though this dimensionally is not that small, you don't have hardly any leg room or knee room. My shins are pretty much right there if I just relax. There is decent foot space, but I'm happy to see that you get air conditioning vents back here. And we've got a couple of USB ports and a storage area down there too. There is a center folding armrest right here. This is soft, and you've got decent sized cup holders and a little slot for a phone. Not to mention you still get this panoramic roof up here. And I'm 5'9", this is what it's like to sit behind myself, and even with the hat, I can still sit up tall and my head is just about touching the roof. So most adults should fit in here. All right, now as we take a look at the interior of this Alfa Romeo Stelvio, nothing is really any different over the last couple of years, but it's a fun interior overall. Up here you have some soft materials, got this nice looking trim, the memory settings there, a good grab handle right here, and a really actually deep storage area. It's just not great for big bottles. Push button start is on the steering wheel, right there. And this isn't the quadrifoglio, so you don't have this nice dramatic startup, but this steering wheel is leather wrapped, it's also heated, and these paddle shifters are separate from the steering wheel, so they stay in one spot. And one thing that I've noticed is that they're actually super close to the steering wheel, which makes it easy to grab, but if you've got bigger knuckles or something, they don't really fit back there all that well. You've got some driver assist stuff over here, like your lane keeping system, your distance pacing, cruise control, the start button, and then your audio controls over there. To control things up on this display, you've got a couple of physical gauges and then this digital one. And in order to change that, there's a little button right at the end of your stock right there. That's it. It's not on your steering wheel, and there's just a few pages that you can scroll through. So it's not a real detailed digital display like some. And even at this price point, we don't have a head-up display. We've got a smaller touchscreen over here too. It's not just touch though, there is a controller for it. And the software is fine. There's, it's a good layout. It's easy to navigate on here. You can touch this screen, or you can use a little control knob that we have. The control knob is down here right in front of the armrest. You've got a home button, settings. Not quite as fluid and easy to use as some, but you also have volume, seeking button, power button over here. And they actually feel nice. This has like a knurled pattern around it. This volume one has like a rubber material around it, so it feels nice. If we go into reverse, we just have a regular backup camera. We also have parking sensors on here as well. There's no 360 camera even at this price point. We have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto on here. It takes up the whole screen. It's not wireless though. That is one bummer. You do have to be plugged in, and the plug is right there. So if you've got some mugs, it can be kind of annoying to get to. Same with your dual zone climate control. We will have dual zone climate and some physical controls down there. But again, if you have big mugs right there and these bottle holders, these are the only really good ones right here. It can be a little annoying. One thing that I really like though is this has a dedicated spot for a key fob. I mean, that fits in there great. Shifters right in the middle. You've got a manual mode on there as well, and we'll go through that in the paddle shifters, electronic parking brake, and then your drive modes right here. So you've got dynamic, D, which is like sport, natural, or advanced efficiency. There's a wireless charging mat right here, so even though you have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, you still have to be plugged in, but you do have a nice convenient mat. Pull this back, you got a little extra storage, a couple of USB ports, auxiliary port, and it's nice and soft in there. Alfa gives us a locking glove box over here that is soft opening and softly lined. Just a regular automatic dimming rearview mirror overhead. Right up here, you've got kind of this sleek layout, and let me show you something here. So check it out. We also have, standard in this Veloce model, is this giant roof. Look at that, it goes all the way back. You've even got a little extra distance back there, because it's technically a dual pane roof. This is pretty nice. On the visor, you'll find garage controls, and the visor comes out and the entire visor will also slide. And one thing I didn't mention is that this Veloce model has the upgraded Harman Kardon audio system, which is 900 watts, and it does sound pretty good. All right, y'all, we are now behind the wheel of this Stelvio, and first thing to talk about is the powertrain. So the Quadrifoglio is the one with tons of horsepower and torque, but this Stelvio still has a 2-liter direct injected. It's a twin scroll turbo in this particular model with 280 horsepower and 306 pound-feet of torque. You know, those numbers don't sound like a lot, but this is still pretty peppy in a mid 5-second range, 0 to 60. It's all-wheel drive in this particular model, and it can put 60% of the torque to the front wheels. And it's fun to drive. The paddle shifters work well. Miles per gallon isn't terrible either, considering how fun it is. 28 on the highway, 24 combined. And we're just in normal mode right now. We'll go through the drive modes in a little bit. But my first impression of the Stelvio always has been the fact that it is just fun to drive. I mean, it feels so playful. The steering wheel just feels like it's a remote control. It's like you just turn and you go. You turn and you go. I mean, it's spot on. It's very active and fun to drive, and it still has a pretty comfortable ride too. I don't have any complaints with the ride. It's a stiffer ride, obviously, because of the suspension is going to be tuned to be fun and handle well, but it still glides over most imperfections well in the pavement. And this turbo, since it is a turbo, it picks up that torque pretty quick. Now I have noticed from low speeds or starts or launches, it's got a ton of lag right away. When you're already up to speed, it's pretty quick to shift and get going, but there definitely is some lag too, so keep that in mind. And as we go to slow down, this has excellent brakes. I mean, they're very touchy, they're responsive, they're kind of a sporty performance feeling brake, which gives you even more confidence when you're driving this Stelvio around. One thing I want to complain about is the blinker. It's the kind of blinkers where the stock just automatically goes back to the center spot, so you can push it down for a little 3-signal one touch, or you can push it down and it'll pop back up and the blinker might just stay on. So it just kind of bugs me. Let me put this into dynamic mode and all-wheel drive, pedal down. See there, gosh, that took forever to get going. But once it grabs and it goes, it really does go. But I mean, it took forever to get going. But in dynamic mode, it's gonna hold the RPMs up, make this a little more fun and engaging. And we'll get those paddle shifters going in a second. But this handles so well for a little crossover. And it's punchy. This is not gonna blow you away with speed, but it's quick and it's fun to drive. And that's the biggest thing. Now let me hit this paddle. They've made these paddles actually very fun and fast. This Stelvio almost comes alive when you get these paddles into play. Even if you want to get those RPMs up, it lets you because you can shift so quickly. The red line comes early at 5,500 RPM, but it's still fun to drive. And you can do that with the gear selector here too, or you can hold the plus sign down for an extended period of time and it will go back into normal drive mode. Now I'm gonna put us back in normal. You also have advanced efficiency, which is the A, which is more of an eco mode, but I'm impressed. And this does still have driver assist features. You've got radar cruise control, you've got a lane system. We also have a blind spot monitoring in here. This has traffic jam assist. It's a level 2 autonomous driving, so obviously not hands-free, but it's something that you still get with the Stelvio. And one thing to note is that this has acoustic laminated glass, and this Stelvio Veloce is quieter than what I remember the TI Sport. The TI might have been quiet too, but this actually scored really good decibel ratings for me, and I was impressed with it. And it's windy today, and you don't hear much for wind noise at all. And wrapping things up, it's fun to drive. It's pretty punchy, got a delay, but overall, it's still very fun, and that's exactly who this is marketed for.